A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, I hope you're doing well, inshallah ta'ala. What happens if you're worried about your intentions, keeping them pure to the extent that it stops you from doing something good or carrying on with something good? What's the situation with that? And how is it that we can check our intentions and understand if our intentions have ikhlas, sincerity, or not? These are the two things we're going to tackle in this very short session, inshallah. So, first of all, we're going to turn and speak about the shaytan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, Inna shaytana lakum aduwwam, which means indeed the shaytan is an avowed enemy to you. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala adds, so take him as an enemy. So the word enemy here is repeated. If you are worried about your intentions to the extent that it stops you from doing something good, or continuing good, or starting something good, then this can only be the trick of the shaytan trying to stop you from doing something good through triggering your insecurities about your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you know, my dear brothers and sisters, when you start practicing and you've got to the point where alhamdulillah, you gave up all the big sins, and of course we all have accumulation of small sins, but you gave up all the big sins, you're doing tawbah regularly, and all the big stuff is inshallah out of the way. Often the shaitan will give up trying to misguide you on this. Why? Because your heart is like a fort. Your heart is like a fort, and the shaitan cannot get in there. So what happens is then the shaitan is not going to give up. The shaitan is going to go and try through the back door and try and trick you into not doing things that are acts of worship, that are the permissible acts of worship, or trick you into having a different intention behind that worship. I'll give you a really good intention, a very good example of where actually something that is an act of worship can suddenly become something that can really act against you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. I want you to imagine you're in the situation where you've gone to somebody's house. It might be somebody who is a sheikh or a scholar or an ustada, or it might be somebody who is a family member who is a very practicing Muslim, or it might be somebody who is maybe potentially your father-in-law or mother-in-law's house. You've gone to their house and it's time for salah. And of course your intention for salah is ibadah, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you go and you get wudu and you start praying. Alhamdulillah, mashallah, this is amazing. You're doing an act of worship. You're fulfilling your farad. And then while you're praying on your own in a room, somebody opens the door and they come in, and you realize that it's probably your a future father-in-law or mother-in-law or somebody from that family. And of course, you want to look good in front of that person. You know, you want that person to think good of you. And there's nothing wrong, by the way, with wanting people to think good of you. But you want them to think good of you to the extent that then the shaitan tricks you into staying in sujood for longer than you would have done, and your intention changes that actually now I'm not doing sujood for Allah anymore, I'm doing in sujood to impress this person who I know is probably watching me. I want them to think that I'm good. I want them to think that I'm pious. The action is the same, my dear brothers and sisters. But suddenly we transformed something that was originally an act of ibadah that you're getting barakah for to something that is actually almost a form of shirk al-asghar, a type of minor shirk. So we have to be really careful, even in the acts of ibadah, that we are checking our intention all the way through. So even in these things that we think are watertight, keep on analysing yourself. Don't let the shaitan trick you or fool you into thinking that you are on safe ground. It's always important to do that, inshallah. Now, take the shaitan as an enemy. Take him as an enemy when it comes to your intentions and your actions, and don't be scared about your intentions. If you're scared about your intentions, then that suggests that you're thinking about your intentions. Now, don't let it stop you from doing good, my dear brothers and sisters. Make sure that you are striving towards pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is the thing that will destroy the shaitan and bring you closer to your Lord. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.